And we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Eagle Eye Podcast, episode 4. Wow, what a week we had with Club America. I hope you guys are ready. Hope you guys got your tacos, are sitting in. And happy Tuesday to every single one of you guys listening and watching as well. So it's going to be an absolutely crazy podcast because, of course, we have so much to talk about. We have the Clasico Capitulino that we're going to give a review. We're going to have our preview of the Atlas game coming up, and will Jeremy Menes finally make that debut? I guess we'll have to find out. And of course, we got a lot of topics in regards to the Mexican national team, and we're going to sneak in a little bit of Cotomo Blanco as well later on in the podcast. So before I jump on and do anything, I want to welcome my co-host, Mr. Dylan Jimenez. How are you, my man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, man.
All right, it's always a pleasure whenever we can link up and talk about everything Las Águilas del América. So I hope you guys are ready. I hope you guys are excited because there is a lot to talk about. So first things first, anything you want to say to the public?
Just thanks for all the support y'all gave us, guys. Thanks for coming out and watching us, and we hope to bring y'all the best content that we possibly can. And we appreciate any feedback y'all can give us.
Definitely. We love to interact with every single one of you guys. So if you guys do not know yet, we do have a Twitter for the podcast. So if you guys have any questions, have any suggestions, anything you guys just want to get back to us, make sure you guys follow us. In the description, we'll have our Twitter handle, which is at Eagle Eye Pod. So without further ado, also we want to thank you guys for the support. Like Dylan said, we are on iTunes and iCloud. So if you ever were to miss a show, then you also find us on those platforms. So let's start things off. Let's talk Clasico Capitulino. Of course, a Sunday bright and early Sunday matchup for a couple of us here. I know it was exactly 12 over there for you. It was 10 o'clock for us. So those who partied and were still trying to deal with their hangover kind of had a hard time waking up for that one. But I know you texted me this because I thought the game was scheduled at 2 my time, 4 o'clock your time, and your text message actually woke me up, and you were like, "Hey, game starting at 12."
Yeah, I just wake up and I'm over here checking my Twitter, and I see the Club America official Twitter page saying that they're arriving at the stadium. The team is, and I'm just like, isn't it supposed to be at 4 my time? And so that's whenever I decided to text you. And I even had it written in my planner for 4. I scratched out the 12 and put 4. And so I was expecting it to be at 4. So, but it ended up being at 12. So, yeah.
I know, and I think I told you, I was like, maybe they knew that Menes was not gonna be on display, so maybe that's why they probably switched it back to 12. But whatever the reason may be, we woke up early, we got ourselves together, and we were able to watch the show. I know you did the live coverage on Twitter, which was an excellent job. So let's talk the game now that we kind of rambled on about that. So kind of a frustrating result at the end, but if you take a step back and look at everything, I think maybe a pretty reasonable result. Jamaica walks out of there with a 0-0 draw. I think, you want to look at things positively. We kept the clean sheet, which is absolutely amazing. And I want to say for the most part, if you kind of take into consideration all 90 minutes, I think Jamaica were the better side for the most part. So my question to you, Dylan, what were your thoughts and reactions after the final whistle went?
Yeah, like you said, man, just a frustrating result, but I feel like the game could have gone both ways. Both teams had equal opportunities to score goals, but just not either team could finish their chances, and so it was a frustrating result. But I feel like it was also a positive result. Going into the first half, the first 10 minutes for me, just about the first 10 minutes were it kind of seemed kind of shaky. It kind of seemed some players were hesitant with their passes and stuff like that. But as the game progressed on, we've shown to be the better side through the first 45 minutes. It came down to the wire a little bit. Pumas had the chance. That Nico Castillo shot on goal. Well, I wouldn't say it was on goal because it went wide of the post, but man, I mean, who knows if he would have finished that? Marchesín was beat, and I wouldn't have been mad that much at that goal because that goal probably would have been amazing if he would have finished it. But anyways, that's not the point. Frustrated in the second half. It just seemed like we started off pretty good. We had Pumas chasing the ball. We were holding possession, and then it seemed like Pumas got a little bit of momentum in the second half and started ball instead of making them chase the ball. And so, and you know, like you said, we talked about it. You know, they seem to be the team seem to be getting fatigued a little bit, stuff like that. And you know, there's you know some questions about when Miguel Herrera made his subs. You know, like you said, I would have liked to seen Joe Corona come on a little bit sooner than what he did, which was really upsetting. But you know, in the end, you know, it was a pretty fair result. It could have gone either way. Neither team finished their chances. You know, it's just now how can we finish our chances going to the next game is my question.
Yeah, that's a very valid point to bring up. I think before we dive into the details about everything, I think let's start at the beginning. Let's start at where everything started. It was the confirmation of the lineup. I think I tweeted out through the Eagle Eye podcast Twitter page the lineup and the formation, which was going to be a 4-4-2. It looked like Miguel Herrera actually stuck to that by this time. I have it written down right here. All right, so lineup was Marchengo, no real surprise. Edson Alvarez at right back, Bruno Valdez, Aguilera at the center back positions, and then we had Vargas on the left. Guido and Uribe made the midfield, while Renato Ibarra and Cecilio Dominguez played out through the wings. Henry Martin and Rio Peralta played up top in the middle. So, seeing that lineup being confirmed, what were your initial thoughts going into this match, knowing that was going to be our starting 11 going up against a very good Pumas?
It's a good lineup. It's a strong lineup. It's probably one of the best lineups that we can put at this moment. You know, obviously, you know, we're missing Paul Aguilar right now, even though he's out for injury. But still, I mean, it's a strong lineup, and I thought this was the lineup that could get us the 3 points, but it didn't.
Yes, obviously the big surprise there was the fact that there was no Darwin Quintero and that Cecilio Dominguez was going to be taking his place. A lot of people were hesitant about giving Cecilio Dominguez a start. I know I was one of those, kind of treading on cautious water because he did not prove to be the best player, leading up to last season and now going up against a very strong Puma side in a stadium where, let's face it, never had the luxury of having the best results. So I was quite hesitant, but I think overall, Cecilio Dominguez kind of did, I want to say, okay. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, he did okay. I thought he had an average game, you know. Obviously not the Cecilio Dominguez that we want having to perform week in and week out. You know, it was an average game for him. You know, we've seen him kind of try to take on a few defenders at a time, but obviously getting dispossessed just seemed like over and over. You know, I think the one thing Cecilio Dominguez is really good for is drawing fouls and giving us those free kicks that were pretty close to the box.
Yeah, he did. He played an all right game. I think I wanted to say around maybe the 70th minute was when I actually wanted this guy to maybe step off the pitch and give Ibargüen a shot. They took out Renato Ibarra, which I think was I don't know. I think Renato Ibarra was our best player on the pitch. Especially going forward because he brings such versatile in his play, the way he can just kind of cut inside, get through defenders, or actually go through the wide line. So I think Cecilio Dominguez at the end was an okay player. A lot of people are calling him for the Atlas game for him to start. I don't know if I'm on board with that just yet. But let's talk about the first half, and let's I think things started off very well. We started off very lively. America started getting possession, dominating, kind of pushing Pumas back and letting Pumas do most of the running at the beginning and kind of just holding on to the ball, dictating the play, which is exactly what we talked about in the last podcast. If you want to play against a very good side, you want to hold the ball as much as possible. I think America did well. I think America were a bit unfortunate not to finish some of their chances, but like you said, we need to be more clinical, or else we're going to see a story quite similar to what we saw last season when we couldn't score a goal, yet we still had our chances. Opening first couple of minutes, I think opening 20 minutes, America looked the better side. After that, of course, America then subdued to Pumas' pressure and kind of more or less gave Pumas the opportunity to go up and be the better team. What do you think went wrong for America after those 20 minutes that Pumas were kind of looked to be the more dominant side?
Like I said, I think it was just us getting dispossessed. Like I said, the first 10 minutes were kind of strange to me. It kind of seemed like everybody was hesitant in their passing game, kind of hesitant in what to do. And so, just the nerves, knowing it's a Clasico too. And, this is a rival team and, it's a dangerous team too. And knowing what they can do with the ball. And so, once it just seems like once they lose possession, it's just kind of seeming like runs for the ball that much, and so they're just trying to absorb that pressure. It seems like to me, and it's just not something that we can do. We got to be able to chase the ball and win back possession somehow. And we've seen some of that too, winning possession, getting that back with the possession. But it's just that we need to work on having that possession as much as possible.
I think I would call it just sloppy from America's. From the sense that their passing was very sloppy at points. You can't really give away the ball in the midfield the way that Matias Uribe gave up a ball once. You game dispossessed. I think a player that kind of had a really good game, maybe did not shine in the eyes of many, was Guido Rodriguez. He got on the ball. He did great turns. He did great coverage. Yet he still kind of lacked a little bit more of a position on my end, at least, to think that that America was definitely the more dominant side. If we kind of look at the basis of this side, I think you opted to think that a man like Henry Martin was going to be having the opportunity of a lifetime to be able to shine. Yet we saw that the man was very isolated. Do you think that this was due to the fact that maybe he was just not used to playing up top with the Peralta, because we've seen him play out wide a little bit more often? Or did you just think maybe it was just not his night, but he could definitely play up top when it comes to it, and it could be a very good partnership between him and Uribe?
I think it could be a good partnership. Me and you talked about it and stuff like that. We've seen him score his goal against Luca in the preseason. We've seen him score in the past two games in the opening games, and so I don't see why not. Maybe like you said, it's just probably what could have been his day and stuff like that. I would like to see him work though more on the outside. Like you said, that's where we've seen him play the most too, a little bit, and his day, in my opinion.
Should be interesting to see how Miguel Herrera sets his lineup against Atlas, which we'll get on that a little bit later on in the pod. Exactly what we think the lineup should be going into this game at home against Atlas. But let's stay on the topic that is the Clasico Capitulino. It played out actually really well in the first half, and America ends up closing it maybe a little bit better than what we'd expect after Pumas was actually being the more dominant side. What do you think? Overall, 45 minutes. I think we're unlucky not to get a goal. I think that at the end of the day, if we had our shooting boots on, we definitely could have gone at least 1-0 up, and maybe the game would have turned around for that. What are your overall thoughts after those 45 minutes?
Yeah, it was a good for 45 minutes. We were obviously the better team in this game. Just like I said, just finishing our chances. We just missed a lot of chances that we could have capitalized on, and who knows? Maybe it could have ended with that and going into the halftime, but it didn't, and so it stayed 0-0 going into the halftime, which is just unlucky from us. But also, there was things that we needed to work out too as well. Such as holding the ball a little better and the passing game too, not giving up possession.
I think the one thing that America lacks is that once we get into that final third, our decision making is not the best. I think perfect example is Cecilio Dominguez. There was a point in time when he had the opportunity to either keep running down the byline, yet he wanted to touch the ball and kind of cut inside and take a shot and take on the man. I think like I said to you, when that happens, you can see that there's a lack of confidence in the guy. But most importantly, he should be smarter and say, this is not the opportunity for me to try to take on one or two players. It's the opportunity to try to use and abuse my speed, go down the byline, and get that ball inside Foribe or Henry. I think, it's a pretty decent 45 minutes in the end. We jump into the second half. Puma starts off a little bit better. They start pressing us back. They start giving us the opportunity. They start giving us no real opportunity to get out of our own opportunity. Out of our own half, and then just suddenly, just like that, America seems to kind of fight back in pressure and kind of look better and win the ball. Um, what do you think? What do you think's happening at this point when you see that America's getting pinned back? You see that we're not really holding on to the ball and that we're just kind of soaking in the pressure. Do you think that is because Miguel Herrera wants it to be that way, or do you think the players just kind of don't have an answer at the moment?
I just think the players didn't really have an answer because you see at the beginning too, was the same against Machuco. We kind of opened the half with a corner. Made me a little nervous because in the last game against Pachuca, you obviously know what happened is that we lit in a corner within the first minute of the half, and Pachuca capitalized on that corner and score. And so it just gets me nervous knowing that it might be a repeat of last week and that the players don't have an answer for it yet. And so, as it progressed on, obviously, it got a little better. It's still nerve-wracking and frustrating too as well.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating and nerve-wracking. Let's see, what else do I have written down here? Let's see. I mean, overall, I'm going through my notes, and there's lapses of times where I see Pumas is better, then we're better, and it kind of just it diddle daddles off of that. But I think for the most part, if you look at it, I think America were the better side. We still had our opportunities in the second half. Let's not forget. Um, I think you know I think it just goes down to what we were saying. We don't have our finishing boots on, and it's gonna be a problem later on in the season if we can't get him going. Of course, the big news after everything, of course, was the fact that well, actually, two big news, but we'll get on to the second one a little bit right now. We had the debut of Ibargüen. What did you think about the Colombian winger?
Too soon to tell. I don't think he got enough touches. I don't think he got to make that much of an impact to really make a judgment on how he'll be for us, really. Because remember when he came on, but in my opinion, I don't think he had that much of an impact on the game, being because he wasn't given that many chances and opportunities to be on the ball, runs, or taking on a defender or anything like that.
Yeah, like you said, too soon. I think the game didn't matter for him. I think once he came in, I think I looked a little bit more tired. They kind of were soaking a little bit more of the pressure. They weren't really being explosive in a sense. So let's kind of talk about those last kind of couple minutes. So the game's still 0-0, but at this point, Pumas has looked to be the better side. Nico Castillo had what, two? What, did he hit the post twice, or or am I just making that up?
I don't remember him hitting the post. I just remember that one shot that he had that I mentioned.
Yeah, he had that shot in the
Remember,
first half that like almost went in. Then he had a header. I think that he does he hit the post? I want to say that he hits the post or he hits it straight to Marchesín. Apologies for me not remembering that. But it looked like Nico Castillo was starting to get his rhythm going, and it looked a little like you got to contain this guy a little bit more, or else we're gonna get on the receiving end of one of his shots, which was, I mean, in theory, I think the way America se planteó for this game, the way they set up, was actually really good. I think at the end of the day, you can't really point the fingers at Piojo as much as you can to the players for not executing the game plan, which I'm pretty sure was get the ball, press high, and go down the wings and use just get in behind the defenders and finish them away, which we did. To some extent, we had our options, didn't take them. I think though the best thing about this was the fact that Bruno Valdez was on Nico Castillo like a piece of gum that stuck under your shoe, just did not leave his side whatsoever.
yeah, I mean, which is good. I mean, um, we had some good marketing and a little bit good defending too. It's just that we got lucky with some of those shots, like you said, not going in. But obviously making Nico Castillo very frustrated. Not him be able to do nothing despite him scoring in the past two games too. And I think he had 2 goals last week too and an assist. And that's whenever I text you said, "Man, I'm kind of nervous. Nico Castillo playing. This is a healthy Nico Castillo, not the Nico Castillo that we played in the Apertura either." But yeah, it was good overall performance for me for Bruno. Knowing that he was able to lock down Nico Castillo.
Yeah. I mean, it was really good on Bruno Valdez's part to be able to defend so well and contain Nico Castillo, as much as possible, which he did good. Let's be fair to the guy, he did absolutely good. Um, I think overall you get a sense that maybe the defense is starting to look a little bit better. Let's talk Edson Alvarez for a second. Obviously, the kid playing his second game after coming off in the substitution against Pachuca, starts his first game in the Clausura at right back. I think it's fair to say it looks like that's not his preferred position. It looks like he's struggling still to kind of cope with the pressure of what it is Paul Aguilar has been able to do in that sense, and of course maybe a little bit of that backlash of that game against Pachuca. What do you think overall of Edson Alvarez's performance?
I'm sorry, I just got to bring it up once. Edson, you can't get burnt like that, man. I understand. This kid doesn't play right back, but still, like that. I felt bad for the kid. I felt bad. I was kind of worried after that, but no, he showed some good resilience, man. After being burnt, he stepped up. He put on a pretty good performance. The games I post the ratings, and I probably don't agree with SofaScore's rating for Edson, but I still give him a decent to average game overall performance for the guy. Because to me, it seemed kind of quiet, So, and to me, there can be some good things, if the back line is quiet, and there can also be some bad things if the back line's quiet, because if the back line's quiet, that means that those either winning the ball and holding good possession, the back line's doing their job too, or the bad is that in the game you're doing an awful job. So it just kind of goes either way for me.
That's true. That's true. There's they both go hand in hand. I think Edson shown a little bit better of a performance. I mean, he got burnt. Let's be honest. He did not have the best time when Gallardo was realized that he wasn't comfortable in that right back position. But still, I think it goes back to the basic defending, that if you have someone running at you, maybe don't give yourself so much up when you're about to defend. Either way, I think he recuperates from last game against Pachuca, has a little bit better game against Pumas. Hopefully, we get to see a Paola Aguilar come back, which means Edson Alvarez can either play in the center defensive mid role or in center back role. So let's see. Let's hope for the best. Edson Alvarez, if you're listening to this, keep your head up. We love you here at the Eagle Eye Podcast, but please defend a little bit better if it does come to you being our right back for the meantime. So the game ends 0-0, but without its controversies, of course. So America loses a player with a red card, which nowadays is it kind of seems like it's a normal thing. But this red card, I think many people, not just Americanistas, but people outside, did not think that this was a red card. So for those of you who didn't watch the game, I'm pretty sure you're caught up. But if you aren't, America gets a free kick in which I think someone, I can't remember, what was it? Yeah, Darwin Quintero crosses the ball in, someone heads the ball back in, and then Matias Uribe goes for the chilena. But while Matias Uribe goes for the chilena, Nico Castillo, it's Nico Castillo, right? I can't remember who Pumas player is. I believe it's Nico Castillo. Tries to go in for the header. Both the cleat and the head collide. They clash. The Pumas player goes down. Matias Uribe, goes down as well, and then gets up. Referee doesn't hesitate, doesn't blink, doesn't even think twice. Goes for his back pocket. Gives Matias Uribe a red card. I think everyone at that point was shocked that the referee was able to do that. Obviously, yes, it was a little ugly. You know, whenever a head clashes with an ongoing kick, it's always going to be nasty. But I mean, you look at the fact that it was intentional, and you kind of think, what's going on? So the red gets pulled out. What are you thinking?
Well, first, I'm just like, well, what the heck? What's the red for? Like, I didn't understand what the red was for. And then I go and see the replay. I'm on like, well, Uribe doesn't really have control over that. He's playing the ball. It's not like he's going to intentionally kick who we believe Nico Castillo in the head. It's just unintentional. The dude's playing the ball. Possibly maybe understanding yellow, but a straight red, it's just something that it's not really explainable. It's not understandable to see why it was a straight red.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you can merit a yellow card, like no doubt about it. Okay, he kicks him in the head. I guess you can give him yellow, but a red card, it seems unfair by any standard, really. I mean, it's a 50-50 ball. Basically, he's going in for a chilena. He has no control, like you said, about that. He doesn't know that the Pumas player is coming in with his head. He's already midway through the chilena when he sees that a Pumas player is going to be there. His best intention is, I want to get the ball first before I collide. I'm pretty sure he's not, oh, let me kick his head. Like that. That was not what Matias Uribe was going for. And it's frustrating that that the referee actually pulls the red card. Even the commentary said, it was way too harsh of a red card. I mean, a yellow you understand, and you can kind of have a leniency towards that, but a straight red card, absolutely not. I think there's some injustice that was there, and I think that wasn't even the worst part. I think the worst part comes after America puts in their appeal to get that red card, kind of backtracked and taken off. The federation still says no. Matias Uribe will serve that one match ban because of that red card for an unintentional kick to the face, which at most should have been a yellow. Yes, it's dangerous play by any means, but it's not intentional. And I think that's the part that we need to be more focused about. I think, if it was to happen to any other player, we'd say the same thing. It doesn't matter that he's wearing a America jersey, and it doesn't matter that the other person was wearing a Pumas jersey. I think in any aspect of the game, if you see a challenge like that, you kind of, you say, yes, it's ugly, but you can see that there was no harm by the player who committed that said foul. But what were your reactions? I know I was a little bit mad at the fact that the federation said no to the appeal. What was your reaction?
I was frustrated, man. Because yesterday we see the partnership in the midfield of Guido and Uribe, and it worked out pretty good. This is something that I want to see throughout the tournament, possibly in Champions League too. If both of them decide, if Miguel Herrera has them both play in Champions League too, and it's just so great too, that midfield. And I was loving it. They were tearing it up too, and it just sucks now to see it have to wait 2 weeks to see that midfield again.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I think they worked very well. I think the team looked fatigued at the end of the match, but for the most part, I think that partnership worked really well, like you said. I mean, we really haven't had a partnership like that in quite a while. So I mean, to be able to see something flourish like that and now see kind of like a halt on it, it doesn't bring you any more joy than the red card. So, um, yeah, I mean, it pretty much sucks, but I mean, I guess what are you gonna do, right? I mean, the commission, the board of commission for the referees have, they decided that the sanction is gonna go through because Matias Uribe is gonna have to face that one match ban. Um, Now, they raises questions as to who's gonna fit in that role, which we'll go into a little bit in just a second. But like I said, the game ends. It's a 0-0 result. America, though, look really fatigued towards the end of the match after that red card. What do you think is going on? Are we not doing enough physical work during the week? What's going on that these players just look constantly tired? Now for a second week in a row.
I'm like you said, I guess not enough physical training. I guess not enough conditioning to push these players to have the mentality and the stamina of playing the full 90 minutes that some of them must do. Because obviously, three players might not. Because obviously, if substitutions, there's three players not playing the full 90. But everybody, including the bench, should be match fit for a full 90 minutes. And because obviously you're not going to go into extra time. It's a league game. You're not going to go to for the winner like that. There's draws too, and so because you don't know what these players are actually doing on the training ground or what Miguel Herrera is implying in his training.
Yeah.
What's going to go on too as well, but it also comes back to the ball chasing too, and us not holding possession sometimes too as well.
Yeah, I guess that doesn't work in our favor either. I mean, I don't know. I mean, what's going on exactly? But it's playing a key role in the fact that we cannot close out a game, which is worrying me the most. I mean, you know, perfect example was last week. Now against Pumas, if we kind of were a little bit more fit, if we were a little bit more smarter, we could have maybe walked out with a win. We weren't able to do so. At the end of the day, referee blows the whistle after 90 minutes. America leaves Pumas' stadium with a draw, with a point. Reasonable, I mean, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it is because it could have gone either way, in my opinion. If either team had their shooting boots on, it could have gone either way.
So if I was to tell you, if before the start of the season, America's walking out with 5 points out of 9, would you have taken that? Knowing the rivals that we were gonna have, knowing the away trips we were gonna have, because we did have a tough start. Querétaro away, not an easy matchup by any means. Pachuca at home, we've always struggled against them for some reason, and Pumas away, which of course is a tough venue to go and get 3 points. So knowing that, would you have still been satisfied if I would have told you at the beginning of the season we're gonna walk away with 5 points? Would you have been happy?
Yeah, I think so. I would have been happy because I knew the team can get the job done into getting but and I kind of probably would have had mixed feelings about it too because it is a short tournament, and at being early still in the tournament, it seems like every point matters at this point, and you can't really afford to drop points. And so it kind of makes you think, well, let's say Pachuca last week, are those 2 points that we dropped, are those points going to be a necessary outcome in us possibly making the Liga this tournament?
Let's hope not. Let's hope not. I think, yeah, you make a good sense that it's a short tournament, and you always want to start off good, regardless of what the competition is. But I think we've seen teams like Tigres, who may not have the best start, kind of shine towards the end of the season and kind of make the Liga and walk away with some championships. What do you think? I mean, obviously, I'm not saying should we copy Tigres in a sense, but we don't have the brightest start. We do have a decent start. I think it's a pretty decent start. You're optimistic for a better closing of the season than a better opening.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I'm still I'm have mixed feelings. They're good results overall. Maybe not the Pachuca result as much, but what we needed. Especially after going into the Liga and not having making any goals. Kind of seemed like everything was going downhill towards the end too as well. And that's what I'm hoping for the most is just a better finish to this tournament than there was last one.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll close out our thoughts with this. I know you said some of the substitutions were a little late on your end. I believe so too. I think Miojo kind of diddled that out with some of the substitutions and kind of gave his team a little bit more leniency than he should have. What do you think? Here's a question for you. I know we didn't have him on the bench, but if you think that if Pio Herrera was to bring on the likes of Jeremy Menes, would he have impacted the game maybe in a way that maybe that one couldn't or the other one couldn't? And would he have scored?
it's kind of hard to say because it's a new atmosphere for Jerry Menez. It's a new league. It's different players. I mean, but obviously, whenever he was playing, he was playing with people from like Portugal, possibly Spain, and other countries, European countries. But now he's playing with people that are from Central America, South America, and so he's exposed to a different style of football than he was whenever he's playing in Paris and in Turkey. And so, I could see him scoring a goal, but at the same time, how much knowledge of the game in Mexico does he have? How much does he know, and how good is his chemistry with the team already at this point?
That's true. That's true. I'm gonna be straight out honest. I don't think he would have scored, because Jeremy Menez is not the player to take the ball from the center mid and just kind of run at defenders, take everyone on, and score a goal. I think this Jeremy Menez that we're gonna see is gonna be a Jeremy Menez that is gonna try to play off the shoulder of defenders. He will receive the ball and he will pass it, but I don't think he would have broken Puma's defense or anything. I think he would have wanted a little bit more reception, a little bit more play off his teammates, which, let's face it, at that point, America wasn't really giving much to the attacking side anymore. So I think for the most part, if we were to bring on the likes of Jeremy Menez, I don't think the result would have changed. I think it would have still been a 0-0. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I am wrong because this man has big expectations to fill. So I'm pretty sure he's aware and he's understanding of it. But hopefully, once it comes down to it, he proves every single one of those people that are doubting him wrong, and can definitely tear the league up. So, we'll end it at that. The Clasico Capitulino ends in a 0-0 draw result. It's a point. I think a very good point. I think if you would have told me that if I could have taken a point away from Pumas, I would have said yes right away, because of course it's a very difficult side. And it's a very, very difficult stadium to go into. But shout out to every single one of those Americanistas and Pumas fans that went to the stadium, kept it clean, kept it non-violent for, I think it was the first time after, 15 years, I think they said, that America was able to go on their official bus to the stadium without it getting pulled, without it getting, thrown at by, rocks and stuff like that. So great shout out to every single one of those people who made the game more of an enjoyable atmosphere if you went to the stadium. I know that's, what every single team wants. At the end of the day, it's a spectacle for the family, and really it shouldn't be taken to those limits. So, huge shout out to every single one of those people that kind of, kept it clean and kept it healthy. So for the most part, America walks away with a result that looms to be not great, but who knows, maybe throughout the season we'll see that it's actually a pretty good result. So 0-0. Like I said, we are 1-2 without any losses, so we're still undefeated at this point. A 1 win, 2 draws, 2 clean sheets too. Let's keep that in mind. So if we're trying to be a little bit optimistic here, I think there's plenty of things that we can take away. Obviously, what looms most is the fact that we couldn't get a result against Pachuca, but we get to redeem ourselves against Atlas this upcoming weekend on Saturday. But before we jump into that Atlas review, let's just briefly talk transfer talk, as the January transfer window has yet to close. It does close on the 31st of January. It looks like America is almost ready to say goodbye to Silvio Romero. It looks like Independiente are lining it up. I think I read that Independiente came out and said that yes, they have reached an agreement with America. Now the only thing that they needed to do was reach an agreement with the agent of Silvio Romero. Is this news to you, or have you seen this already?
Yeah, I've seen this. I'm just excited for him to go already. I know that sounds bad, but a new adventure for him. So somewhere probably where he won't have so much expectation on him and him to underperform.
Yeah, I think like we were talking previously to the podcast, there's a lot of names that have come to this club and haven't been able to fill the gaps of people that have come before them and done wonderful things. So I mean, Silvio Romero, while most people wanted him to have this bright career in America. He just couldn't do it. Like you said, excited for him to leave. I know it sounds horrible. We're not trying to portray that we hate the man or anything. And the guy looks like an absolute gentleman. I mean, he knows that he's leaving the club, yet he's established a business in Mexico. It's a restaurant, and he invites over Miguel Herrera and his staff to go and eat at his restaurant, serves him, treats him very, very well. Just kind of shows you the type of man he is. And when he does go, we do wish him the best and hopefully finds his rhythm back over there in Argentina. Um, what do you think? That's got to be an awkward dinner, right? I mean, one of your players are trying to get rid of him, but yet he's over here inviting you to his restaurant.
I don't know. I think that most Hispanics or Latinos, just the respect, and just like the way you want to be treated and treating people good, Like, I guess that's because how I was raised, just always treat people good and you just show respect and you never receive respect, I always respected my family. And so, it's him showing his sign of respect, you just try not to be awkward about it,
Oh, but I mean, you can't help but be awkward about it. I mean, the man's trying to sell you, and you're over here treating him out to a freaking nice dinner. Granted, Silva Romero, he's not salty or anything about the situation. I think he knows what's best for him at the moment is to go and play somewhere else. I mean, you see the likes of Ibargüen, you see the likes of Menes, you see the likes of this kid Henry Martin. I mean, you get a little bit discouraged if you think this is gonna be, you're gonna be here for another six months. I don't know how much his contract was for. I think he still had a couple more years left. I mean, so I think he sees this as a window of an opportunity, and hopefully he takes it with a very good open heart, like it looks like he is, and um, yeah, nothing else to say. But I mean, what a great guy to be able to host the team manager that is willing to sell you. I think it speaks a lot about his character, and unfortunately, we didn't get to see that Silvio Romero on the pitch all the time. But hopefully, wherever he does go, he does find himself, bagging in more goals and just being a better Silvio Romero at the end.
Yeah, big Chino Romero going off to what? That's his Independiente. That's in Argentina, right? His home country.
Yeah.
Going back home.
Going back home after just establishing a business in Mexico. Gee.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Well, we wish him the best of luck, Silvio Romero. Maybe in another lifetime. That's pretty much it. That's the only news that we have in regards to people leaving. In regards to people coming, it's been very quiet. Yet Miguel Herrera was asked in his press conference after the game whether or not he was going to still try to find that extra striker to bring to the club. He said basically, as long as the window is open and as long as the options are there, we're going to look for them. And whether or not they fall, that's a whole different story. So it looks like maybe Miguel Herrera and America are still looking at possible options. What are your thoughts that America is still out there looking? You think that's good? You think maybe they should focus on the team, or do we need an extra player?
I think kind of both. Because me and you've always talked about a little bit of a rotation since we're going into Champions League 2, and it's a greater travel because isn't the team that we're playing in Panama, Costa Rica?
Costa Rica,
I can't remember. Costa Rica. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, obviously it's a greater travel, and so you're gonna have to have players who can play week in and week out to a certain extent. Some players, and you're gonna have to have the players that are either gonna league or come off the bench, in the tournament, or vice versa. And so, I wouldn't mind that extra player just in case, but I feel like we should still be focusing on the squad a little more because you see the mistakes and the errors, that we've seen in these past 3 games that we need to fix, especially when it comes to fitness. As we've seen the team, getting a little more fatigued, whether that be not having enough conditioning drills and training or ball chasing a little more actual games. And so I feel like that would help us more in the long run too as well.
Yeah, that's true. Crazy rumors, of course, coming out that that America was going for Chicharito Hernandez. I mean, if this was to go through, which I highly doubt it is going to go through, but if Chicharito was to put on an America jersey, what would your thoughts be?
I don't know. That'd be kind of weird because he came from the Chivas, and like I just feel like he just like backstabbing a lot of fans, and like I don't know, like I mean I like the guy, but it'd just be too weird to see him in a America jersey.
I mean, yeah, he's the poster boy of
I'm
Guadalajara.
yeah.
But I mean, it's not the craziest thing that happened. We've seen it before in Liga MX history. Uh, Chivas players have come to America to play. Vice versa, America players have gone to go play. I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. Our ex-president, Ricardo Peláez, was an America player, born in the cantera, you could say, quote unquote. Um, Goes out, has his career in America, then goes off and plays for Chivas. I mean, it's like it's like it happens. It's football. At the end of the day, it's crazy. Um, so I mean, it happened before, but I mean, this one would really, really be weird. It'd be like Cuauhtemoc Blanco going to play for Chivas. Like there'd just be chaos in the streets. Like you just know something would be off if Chicharito was to sign for America. Which I doubt will happen. I doubt will happen. But I thought that was pretty fun that the Tabos actually went running with that.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. Pretty sure he's just gonna stay at West Ham at this point.
Yeah, yeah. Well, poor Chicharito. I mean, his that's a discussion for another time. I know the Mexican Soccer Show had a little bit of an edition of what was going on with him. So hopefully he can find himself minutes. Obviously, World Cup just around the corner, and as you guys know, we do cover a little bit of L3. So it actually benefits us if Chicharito is playing and actually doing well because of course we support the national team like like a lot of people do. So hopefully he can actually find himself in good form. But I think besides that, going back to the America transfer rumor talk, is there really anyone at the point that you're like, okay, we had 3 games. Is there anyone or any position that you would like a player to come and kind of fill?
No, I don't have nobody. Just this has only been a striker on the radar, and I don't really see a need for feeling anything at the moment, unless we're talking about the left back. But obviously, there's been nobody on the radar that can fill the left back position, and I feel like Carlos Vargas has been doing an exceptional job there.
We didn't really speak about him, but Carlos Vargas had another really good game. Like, I mean, the kid's flying a little bit under the radar for some people, but man, has he stepped up to the plate.
Yeah, he really has, and it's been quite surprising too, knowing that he is also can also play a center back role, and he's not used to playing a left back role, but he has really stepped up, and he could be one of those versatile players that we can also use, not only for America, but also on the national team too as well.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit more about the national team a little bit later on in the podcast, and we'll definitely mention again Carlos Vargas' name. But I think, yeah, we'll leave it at that. No real player can come in. There's only one player in one position I would like to see happen. I'm not really feeling our defense. I think Bruno Valdez is good. I don't think Aguilera has been so solid for my liking. So if America was going to bring in any other player, I would want them to bring in a strong center back. And there's only one player that really fits that category for me, and that's Hector Moreno.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say too. Yeah, there you go. I mean, the guy's not playing that much either in Roma, and it's kind of upsetting. He was joining the club. The club was excited to have him, and then the coach don't even want to play him.
Yeah, I think that falls more into the manager. I mean, look at what happened when Ochoa went to Malaga. Everyone was losing their mind. They're like, "Oh my God, we got Ochoa. He had an amazing World Cup, blah blah blah." And then the coaches don't want to play. I mean, so you got to feel for the guy, poor guy. So Santiago Baños, I know you listen to this. Get Hector Moreno on that contract. Let's make it happen because in middle defense, wow, what a defense that would be. I mean, you would have such a versatile bench with center backs rotating, having all these different partnerships. I think it would be great. So America, please make it happen. We would like to see Hector Moreno. So yeah, pretty much it. That's pretty much all I have about the transfer talk. Anything else you want to add on?
No, I don't got nothing else to add.
Alrighty. Okay, so let's talk Jornada 3. Oh, excuse me, Jornada 4. We just finished talking about the Jornada 3. We have Atlas at home. Obviously, a pretty big game for us. It's a game where Mecha needs all 3 points. We're at home. We're up against our fans. And most importantly, we need to bounce back from, a hesitant start. So, this game's gonna be played at night. It's gonna be played 7 o'clock your time. I don't know, my time, 9 o'clock your time. Obviously, we're going back to the regular schedule. Obviously, the big news could be that we could see a certain Frenchman step on the pitch and make his debut for the Águilas del América. So hopefully, we get to see Jeremy Menez make the start. So let's just break down and let's see what we can expect from this. Let's talk lineups. What do you think the lineup is gonna be for América coming up against Atlas?
I'm gonna obviously Marchesín in goal. It's kind of up in the air. If Aguilar will play, I'd want him to start in that right back position. But I've seen today through the Club America official Twitter page that he was actually training separate from the team. He was training with the trainers still at today.
Yeah.
And so obviously his status for the game is kind of uncertain at the moment. So just to be safe, I would actually just say go ahead and put Edson in that right back position, and then we'll go Aguilera, Valdez, Carlos Vargas again, Renato Ibarra, Guido. I'd like to see Joe Corona start back to Guido, and then it's kind of hard to debate between Cecilio and Darwin Quintero at the moment. But I'd kind of like to see Cecilio start again. He had a pretty average game, like we talked about, too. So I'd like to see Cecilio. And then, obviously, Henry and Oribe up top.
Okay, strong lineup, 4-4-2. I'm going to go with the same formation as you. I'm going Marchengo. Right back position. This is where it gets tricky. I want to say Paulo Aguilar is going to be fit and ready to go. But because I've been wrong before on the podcast before about my lineups, I'm going to go with a little bit more safer bet. But it's still a wild card here. I see Carlos Orrentia starting at right back. Center back is going to be Aguilera and Bruno Valdez. Left back, of course, Carlos Vargas. In the center mid, we're going to see the likes of Guido Rodriguez and Edson Alvarez in a role that he's more comfortable with. Right back, of course, Renato Ibarra. Left mid is going to, right wing, Renato Ibarra. Left wing is going to be Cecilio Dominguez. And up top, we're going to see the likes of Henry Martin Oribe Peralta again. What are your thoughts when I tell you my lineup?
I was gonna go with the same lineup you had, but I kind of, like you said, it was kind of tricky, and I haven't really seen play in that right back position. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I haven't really seen him play that much, So I wasn't really for sure. It's kind of up in the air with that. That's why I went with Edson and Joe and Guido in the midfield too with that. But I can agree to that too, and I like that lineup too as well.
Yeah. I can see yours a little bit more viable than mine, just because maybe Herrera doesn't have so much confidence in Orrentia to be able to put him. The only reason I would put Orrentia was because we're going up against Atlas, and Atlas at this moment, as we all know, is not going through the best of times. So America should capitalize on this and take their opportunities and kind of go out there and just attack Atlas and get the results. And maybe that's why Orrentia could start, because he's not going to be, maybe pushed as much as, to say against Pumas or something. So I could see him starting, but I think think Piojo is going to be a little bit more cautious and say, nope, we'll put Edson Alvarez back at right back and give Joe Corona the start. So, we have the guy for a loan, so might as well use him as much as possible, right? So I think either way, I'm happy with either lineup. I think would be a really good start.
Yeah, obviously, Guido in the midfield, whether it be Corona or Edson, next to him too as well. We gotta watch the Rafael Morris and Clifford midfield too, because they've been kind of tearing it up too. They've been looking good too, side by side. Um, I know Rafael Morris is his passion efficiency goes up a little bit whenever he's playing next to Clifford too as well in the midfield. So it's those key players that you got to watch out for this time.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, that's always has players that can definitely get you on the break and that can definitely cause you trouble. Um, but let's be honest, the team doesn't look like they're a very scary team in a sense that's really gonna go and fight you for it. But again, I don't know why teams like to do this, but whenever America goes up against a team that is struggling, that is not doing so well, they tend to, for some reason, become this much, much better side overnight, which is crazy. I mean, just absolutely crazy, but it happens. And, I guess it's like that, they're going up against America and, they want to get one over Las Águilas and all that stuff. So, still, I think America's heavy favorite for this matchup. I think they should be. I think the players should feel like it. And I think this is a very, very important game for the likes of Cecilio Dominguez to come in, especially if we're going to pick him over Darwin Quintero. And I think, Cecilio Dominguez has an opportunity to prove himself. And hopefully he does because, like we said, he had a pretty good result, a pretty good, decent performance against Pumas. It looks like things are going well for him. And if you give him a little bit more of a start, he definitely could be a better player than Darwin in the sense that he can be a better winger. But besides that, I think it should be a pretty fun matchup. Do you expect a lot of goals or do you just expect a lot of opportunities?
It'd be kind of one matchup that kind of stands up to me a little bit is going to see if Rafa Marquez starts. Rafa versus Uribe. I think that'd be a pretty good matchup. Seeing if stand up to Uribe, hold him down and everything, or possibly Henry Martin too as well. And so I like to see a couple goals. Maybe you're having opportunities, obviously, because as America is known, you create your opportunities but can't finish them. But a team like this, and you need the 3 points, we're going to see some goals.
That is true. So let's go. I mean, let's do this. Hopefully, America can definitely get all 3 points, and they can get a couple goals. This is a game for the likes of Henry Martin to come back and shine. I mean, you see the opportunities that this kid has been able to create. I think this is definitely going to be an opportunity for Henry Martin and Cecilio Dominguez to kind of shine. And it could definitely be a game where you can see the likes of Ibarwen come in and kind of just run at defenders to see what this guy's made of. So obviously, what everyone's expecting us to talk about is, will Jeremy Menez make his debut against Atlas? What are your thoughts? What do you think? Because Santiago Baños I think, gave a declaration saying that he looks good. He looks like he's almost ready. Yet it looks like he's still having a little bit of a difficulty getting adjusted to the high altitude, to the smog, to everything, and may not see action until the game against Lobos WAP, which is in the following game after Atlas. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd like to see him play. This is one of the players that when I first started watching soccer, this is one of the players that stood out to me most was Jeremy Menez. And so it's not every day, every weekend, week out that I would get to see this guy play. And so I'm excited for him to make his debut, and I hope he makes his debut against Atlas. I just hope that Miguel Herrera makes the proper sub. He takes out the player that and put Jeremy Menez in the position for him to perform that the best he can.
Who do you want to see come out of that game and give the Frenchman his opportunity?
If Cecilio's not performing, man, I'd like to see Cecilio come out.
Really? I'd like to see Cecilio come out if he's not performing, but for Ibargüen, I wouldn't be hesitant to say that maybe Henry Martin can get off like around the 65th, 70th minute and give Jeremy Menez the opportunity. But I think it all points to the fact that it looks like he is not going to start at all. I think it's fair to say, right, Jeremy Menez, I think is not going to be starting at all.
Yeah, well, we'll just come to see too, who's performing, who's not performing, and if this past week, like I said, Miguel Herrera didn't make subs properly, and if Miguel Herrera can make this up properly this week.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, I of course, as more news comes by, we'll let every single one of you guys know. We'll keep you guys updated. Like I said, follow us on Twitter. We will definitely get you guys updated with everything that's happening with Las Águilas de la América. Of course, whether or not Jeremy Menes will make the bench, whether he might even have an opportunity to even make the starting lineup, which I think is very doubtful. But you never know. Crazier things have happened. I think we're hoping for the best result as possible. What do you think America has to do good in order to perform against a side like Atlas, who, let's face it, like I said, is not having the best of seasons?
Like we covered E2, we didn't see nothing in the Pumas game, goals, finish our chances, bring our shooting boots to the game, and we'll obviously win this game, because we seem to have a pretty consistent back line, too. Machachin making some good saves too as well. It's whether we're going to have the opportunities to actually score and put it in the back of the net this game.
Yeah, yeah. Shooting boots. I think we've done everything right up to that point. Like I said, in the final third, I think our decision making needs to get better. And what better time than to play it out against Atlas, get better at it. So, within a couple of other games, America can get better. If you look at the lineup of matches coming up against for America, these next two matches are crucial. These are not guaranteed 6 points, but these are very, very good options for us to get 6 points because we're both these both games we are at home, and we're playing against two sides that, let's face it, they're struggling at the moment, and that if America can capitalize it, you could see America skyrocket from 5 points to 11 points, which is absolutely huge within the time frame of 2 weeks. You looking, like I mentioned to you, you look at the start we had, and now you see these two matchups. Are you optimistic for a better result and for a better America standing in the table?
Yeah, I'm definitely optimistic for a better result, and it's what we need are better results because, to me, the season's already going by super fast. And before we know, we're gonna be playing Toluca in week 12, and
Yeah.
it's just going by fast. And like I said, it's a short tournament, so it's not like you have up until May to make up those points. You need as maximum points as you can get right now, and this is the best. These next 2 weeks are the best opportunity to get 3 points, or a full 6 points over the 2 weeks.
Definitely, definitely. I think America got some of the heavy lifting out of the way with those three matchups. Then, we're going up against these two teams who are relatively not doing as well as they have before. So America has the opportunity to make this 6 points. I think, like we said, America's been doing things right defensively. They look good and secure at the moment. In the midfield, I think it's where we need to hold the ball a little bit more. We need to be less sloppy. Hopefully, they've been working on that throughout the week. And I think really at the end of the day, it's our final third decision making that needs to improve. I think if America can definitely start off the games the way they started off against Querétaro, against Pachuca, and against Pumas, and where they started off going, very aggressively, going towards the opponent's goal and just kind of moving and pushing forward. And you see in America that's very hungry for it, then we can definitely, hopefully, get a early goal, which then means we can dictate the play from there and kind of run it how we want it to go. Hopefully they can do so. Hopefully, Piojo Herrera plans for that. And hopefully at the end of the day, next week on Tuesday, we're sitting here talking about a good America performance and why we should be optimistic about the rest of the season and hopefully a cheeky Menace goal.
Definitely, man. Just a good performance over 2 weeks, and you have to have those two performances because after that you have Tigres, and so you're gonna want as good a performance as you can going into that game.
Yeah, that is gonna be a tough game because we are going to the Volcan, another stadium in which America always finds it difficult to get a result. But that's 2 weeks out, and we can definitely talk about that coming up in the next podcast. So, final result for this, what are you predicting?
2-0 win.
2-0 win. All right, I will up that and say 3-0. I'm optimistic. Gotta be right.
You heard it here first, guys. You heard it here first.
Hit it here first, and if Jerry Manes comes in, he's gonna score a penalty.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I like that penalty.
Yeah,
He's gonna
because
draw the penalty too.
yeah, I mean, we need someone. We need someone. I mean, Rayados at this moment is probably taking the limelight for not making penalties, but you look at our stats and it's not looking good. It's not looking good whatsoever. We need someone. Obviously, Miguel Herrera wants Mateus Uribe to be the penalty kick taker. He's not going to be for this one. Just a quick note. Now that I mentioned Mateus Uribe, do you think is America going to miss the Colombian?
I think so. Yeah, because like I mentioned, like the Oribe partnership in midfield, it's good and it can get better. As long as they're working together, stuff like that. But also, I think if your predicted lineup works too, I don't see why the Edson and Guido not work out too well. I think it's going to be good as too.
Yeah, and that's a partnership that has been flourishing for a little while now, since the beginning of the Apertura, and then now up to this. Hopefully, we can see those two link up well. A quick note on that partnership. I think it works so well because Guido gives Matias Uribe the liberty to push forward without really compromising his position. You see a Guido who kind of sits a little bit deeper, and it just works perfectly because he's able to cover some gaps in a good amount of time, and he's able to give that liberty to Matias Uribe. So, yeah, I think we're gonna miss him. I think we're gonna miss him a little bit if things don't go our way. But hopefully everyone else is optimistic as us and is hoping for a good performance, just like we all think will happen. And yeah, let's go, America. Let's get those 3 points. Let's get a convincing result. And at the end of the day, we'll be two very happy Americanistas talking about that in next week's podcast.
Yeah, man. Let's go get those 3 points. All that matters. 3 points at this moment.
Yeah, at this point, that's all that matters. So there is your preview for the Jornada 4 against Atlas. It should be an interesting matchup. Game, like I said, is scheduled at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Central time. I believe it's going to be broadcasted through Univision. Should be an interesting one. Of course, we're at home at the Estadio Azteca. Yeah, all I can say is really America's going to have the crowd, there for them, for the support. Now it's just for time for the players to deliver and actually go for it. So hopefully we can get the result that we are looking for. So, yeah, that pretty much sums it up for the review. Usually this is where we kind of close it off, but we're going to stretch a little bit further here because we have L3 news. And like I mentioned, we are also covering L3 whenever we get the chance to, whenever the call-ups, whenever the international breaks happen, and of course, the big one, the World Cup this year. So, news just came out. Juan Carlos Osorio has decided to call up the MLS boys for this friendly matchup against Bosnia. So 3 slots that are going to be taken by these 3 players. A couple of backlash from a couple of people on Twitter saying that they did not want to see these players get called up. What are your thoughts about seeing the likes of the Dos Santos brother and Vela getting called up for this?
I just didn't really like the Giovanni call up. I don't think he's been performing. Obviously, he hasn't been performing the way we've seen Giovanni perform before, and it hasn't gotten any better with the Galaxy. I like the Vela, I like the Jonathan call up. Those are basically, to me, that have made a difference in the lineup for L3, and still possibly could. It's just a rather time whether how well they play whenever they play Bosnia too as well.
I think the most surprising part about this is the people that are actually complaining about this, because it was no secret that these players are going to get called up by Juan Carlos Osorio. They're not getting any playtime. Yes, they're getting a little bit of training here and there with their team, but they're not getting physical playtime. It should be interesting to note that, these players have gone what now? Roughly, wow. Let's see, Giovanni Santos and Jonathan Santos stopped playing around November. So they've gone almost 3 months without seeing any game time on the pitch, which is another thing to note. That Juan Carlos Osorio, if he's really taking these players into consideration, he's gonna want them to play with the squad. I know some people are saying that these are 3 slots that could be used to see other players. What do you think? Do you think there's anyone else? Do you think because of these 3 players getting called up that there might be, 3 other players that maybe lose their opportunity because of these call-ups?
I think so. And, there's, to me, 3 players I can't point out because this call up is important to them 3 because if you've seen past call ups when it came to World Cup qualifiers and to the European games too, whenever you played Poland and Belgium, these guys were in the lineup. These guys, basically to me, the final 2 World Cup qualifying games and the 2 European games, whenever you played Belgium and Poland, to me, were the rough draft that Juan Carlos Osorio was given to us, saying, okay, this is a rough draft for some of the players I'm going to take to Russia with me. And those 3 players have consistently been in the World Cup qualifying games and also in those 2 European games too as well. And so it's important that these guys play the national team at the moment, because even though they're not getting playing time with the respective teams, because obviously the MLS season doesn't start until about March, it's important that these guys still show that they got something. And I really hope they prove a lot of people wrong and come out and have good performances.
Yeah, I'm with you. It always looked like these 3 were favorites for Juan Carlos Osorio. A lot of people may be skeptical about Giovanni Dos Santos. At this point, he doesn't look like to be the Giovanni Dos Santos of even last year. Something's happened. Hopefully, we can find his form. Hopefully, we can find the Giovanni Dos Santos that we all want. But I think it was always safe to say that it was always going to be a Carlos Vela and Jonathan Dos Santos in this call-up. Giovanni Dos Santos was always in the air. At this point, I think Juan Carlos Osorio just wants him there because of his experience, because he gives you that opportunity that he could shine on the given day, which should be interesting. Of course, the official roster for this friendly is going to be put out on Thursday. Couple of names that some people are throwing around, the likes of, Edson Alvarez getting called up there, Oriol Peralta. Obviously, this all has to be mostly Liga MX players because, it's not a Europe, it's not a fecha FIFA, so it's there's no way that the European teams are going to let some of the players go. Who is a player? Give me 2 players at this moment that you would want to see get called up that wouldn't necessarily get called up if this was a fecha FIFA.
Jonathan Gonzalez would be my first one. And I like to see Hugo Gonzalez too.
Hugo Gonzalez? Okay. Give me another player because I think Jonathan Santos is still trying to work out his FIFA arrangement thing, and it's still kind of in the air whether or not he's able to get called up. So besides Jonathan Gonzalez, who else?
It's a tricky one. You already said Edson, so I can't say Edson, obviously. Gosh. My mind's kind of slipping in players at the moment.
All right, well, I'll give 2 shout outs to our boys. I want to see Henry Martin and Carlos Vargas get called up.
I was kind of debating on Vargas, but I was like, I don't know.
I want to see him. He's been rapping good. I mean, he's got three solid games in Clausura. Let's not forget he was called up to action in the Liga. He had a really good performance. So I mean,
he really did. Yeah.
I want to show this kid some love because he's actually been doing absolutely great for us. So let's give this kid the opportunity. I want to see him. I like Hugo Gonzalez call up too. He hasn't had a cap from Mexico. I think he's definitely merited it after everything he's done with Monterrey. So, yeah. I'm excited for this matchup. I know really it's just a friendly. It shouldn't be much, and especially since Mekis players, some of these players are fighting for the opportunity to be in the World Cup. But I think this is a Mexico team that we are going to be able to see in Edson Alvarez have more of an important role, which is exciting to me.
Yeah, no. I think Edson's there. Edson could possibly be going to the World Cup too, and that's great for him. That's great for fan base too, knowing that they're having a player besides Oribe going to the World Cup. Edson came into the league, storm, it seemed like to me. He came in and did it with ease. This is a guy that has been consistently been performing, and everybody's loving this guy, and why wouldn't you want him with the national team?
Definitely. You know what the sad part is? We didn't even mention Paul Aguilar.
That is true. It's just, I mean, I just don't know what it is with Juan Carlos Osorio not wanting Paul Aguilar.
Not
It's
just
just
Paul
weird.
Aguilar, but just natural wing fullbacks.
Yeah. It's strange. It just seems like he keeps going with a back line of center backs. All the way across. And it's just weird
Yeah.
not seeing him play with the true fullback. Besides the like of maybe Layun.
Like
Because Juan Carlos Osorio loves Layun, and so obviously Layun's gonna get called up. I think no matter what.
people
Weird
love
not.
like you.
Yeah, Lewandowski, as Naib says, Lewandowski, but it's just weird not to see him play with somebody who truly plays the right back position. We've seen Edson play there, we've seen Carlos Salcedo play there, and a few other players. Maybe Chaka, but Chaka's versatile. Rodriguez too plays Tigres, but I don't know what his thinking is.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, who knows? Maybe one day we'll get an answer from that. But Juan Carlos Osorio will make his final roster call this Thursday. We'll get to see. But we'll definitely we'll pay close attention. We'll have our reaction for that lineup and for that game, which is scheduled to be on the 31st, which I believe is a Wednesday.
Yes.
So does that mean that the league is taking a week off? I haven't checked that.
I don't think so, to be honest.
Because if they don't, then that's come on. Give us. Oh my gosh. I'm checking real quickly here.
No, they're not.
They're not taking a break?
No, because the game against Atlas is the 27th, and then obviously the Mexico game against Bosnia is the 31st. That's on Wednesday, and then the following Saturday is the 3rd. So they're still playing.
That is, wow. We're definitely gonna have a very interesting show next Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. You guys tune in. We're gonna be talking how America can cope with the fact Juan Carlos Osorio has taken about 3 or 4 of their players, and we're gonna have to cope with that. That should be interesting. Wow, I really thought they were gonna put the league in pause, but I guess not. Wow, that's a little bit frustrating. But I guess it's a couple years. You got to cope with that, right? I guess we'll figure out what America's next step would be for next episode. But another quick note on the Mexican national team. We're gonna talk about the minis now. The Sub-20 just released a call up for a for a camp, where they called up a couple of youngsters. Diego Lainez makes the call. So Diego Lainez is going to be training with the Mexican national team under 20s, which I think pretty much means that he's going to be in concentration with them. So it doesn't even look like he's going to be able to play this game against Atlas.
Yeah, but it's good for him. I've told you too. Despite Edson not being, not Edson, Diego Lainez not being able to get first team minutes. He's still content with him being able to play. That's what the kid wants to do. He wants to play. He wants to play week in and week out. Whether it be with or with the senior team, and he's not letting it face him. So this is good for him. Being able to work out with the U20s of the Mexican national team.
Yeah, hey, maybe you can get a call up to the America team when we do play against Lobos. We'll be short a couple players. Could be interesting to see Diego Lainez come in for that game. So that's pretty much it. Make sure you guys stay tuned to our Twitter. I cannot stress that enough. We're on Twitter. We'll keep you guys updated with the most recent news. We love our interaction with every single one of you guys who do interact with us. So make sure you guys follow us. We'll have you guys updated on everything that happens on there. Let's see. That's kind of much it. We're going to end that national team talk right there. We'll get into more of a discussion once the squad comes up. I don't know. I'll talk to you exactly. Maybe we can do like a mini short podcast where we can talk everything, Liga MX in regards to this call up and what we think the lineup could be and what we think the story is going to try to experiment. But for the most part, we're going to leave it at that. We think, it's what was expected for the MLS boys to make it into the roster. Now we'll wait and see exactly who are the other players joining them to play against Bosnia in the United States. So we're almost wrapping it up with the podcast here. We do have a very, very interesting topic that we're going to talk about. And this has to regard with Las Águilas del América. The idol, when you think about America, there is pretty much only one person that comes up to mind everywhere across each platform. And when you think Americanista and you think idol, you think Cuauhtémoc Blanco. We were talking about Cuauhtémoc Blanco last podcast. It kind of slipped our mind that his birthday was the next day. We did give him a little shout out on our Twitter page. Then Cuauhtémoc Blanco goes on La Última Palabra on Fox Deportes. If you guys caught it, then you guys know exactly what we're going to be talking about. I told you that he was on there, and I told you to watch the video of him on there. I'm gonna run through and I'm gonna talk and then I just want to get your reaction on a couple of stuff that he pointed out. Just because I think this is this is kind of like, quote unquote, like our LeBron James, in a sense that what he says tends to go. And I was just interested by a couple of things that he said and mentioned, because I think some Americanistas at this point would feel differently. So let me just kick things off and say, and let's start off by what he said. Was he pointed out that he did not like how this Piojo Herrera America team was going. He thinks that his first spell at America was wonderful, was great, yet his second spell doesn't seem to be the best. He doesn't like how America is playing. He thinks that America has too many foreign players, and he thinks that there is not enough love in the cantera. So what do you think when Cuauhtémoc Blanco says that he doesn't like how America is playing, that he thinks there's too many foreigners? What do you think?
Well, I can agree to him on that. I think there's a little bit too much of foreigners. Because we can go back to what Miguel had said, that he wants more Mexicans on the team. And, he had a great prospect, Diego Lainez, who is now playing with the U20s and is not playing with the senior team. And so it frustrates me to see that a little bit, because it says one day, and, the guy's Mexican too, I would think he would want to have a little bit more of a chance. And, I wish he would give them the chance. It just sucked to see, and we talked about that too whenever we heard the likes of Menez and Ibargüen, coming into the team. And frustrating to see how America's playing week in and week out, especially the way the season ended. And up and through that too, obviously in the Liga we didn't score any goals or anything like that. Knocked out by Adidas and stuff like that. But people also got to understand this isn't the same team. These aren't the same group of players that Miguel had in his first stint compared to his stint now.
Okay, understandable. I think I think he makes a point. I think he makes a very valid point. I think you kind of lose a sense of what the club is if you start bringing in so many foreign players and you don't give enough youth the opportunity, because of course America has always built itself on they're not like Chivas where we're all just Mexican, but we are very proud of the players that we are able to bring through our youth ranks and promote them and make them into living idols for the fans. I think he makes a point there. You bring in too many foreigners, you kind of shut the door. But I think also one thing he was alluding at was the fact that maybe the club is not being run in the form that he would want it to be. He said he didn't really like the fact how there was a lot of Atlante people that were running the show behind closed doors. He said that he wanted to see a little bit more of ex-Americanistas come into the club and have their say. To give you a quick list of what he said, he wanted to see more of like a Cristobal Ortega, a Luna, Carlos de los Cobos, Carlos Santos, Cecilia de los Santos. I mean, these were Americanistas, that these were America players that to the fans they mean everything, because they gave everything for the club. So he wants more idols to be behind the doors. That way, they can be kind of stern and grow these youth players into something grand and great, because they know what it's like to wear the jersey. They know what that symbol means on that shirt. So, what are your thoughts? Do you think he makes a point there? Do you think that America can have more ex-Americanistas, quote unquote, legends, to be helping out in the way that the club is run through the youth system up to the first team?
Yeah, they obviously need to, because at this point, you're gonna ask, is the Liga MX, are they trying to expand globally, and bringing in the top talent, from outside the league and not giving the youngsters a chance, or are you gonna be a Mexican league and actually give our youth decent minutes to actually get a chance to showcase what they have, and then possibly ship them off to Europe, or to go and better their skills too as well, because there's a lot of a lot of people dream of going to play in Europe, because that's where obviously like the top teams are, the top leagues too as well. I'm not saying like Liga MX isn't the top league, because it's grown and it league, but at the same time, well, are you going to sacrifice the youth as your market and to get out there and expand yourself too as well? People could probably say that about Tigres. How many Mexicans start week in and week out for Tigres? People I could think of, Javier Aquino, Chaco Rodriguez. That's about it. Everybody else on that team seems like nothing but foreigners.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm saying. Like, you either have to make the sacrifice. The Liga MX is either going to grow to a global market and to teams bring in outside talent, to fill in the shoes, and to win titles, to help them win the titles, then rather than use the youth prospects, But that, not only that does that have to be within the America facility, but also with the federation as well, because it's such a short season. There's no guarantee that Diego Lainez is going to get minutes this season, because we brought in foreigners too, and it's such a short season. See, if we follow the schedule like European countries do, where they start in about September all the way through May, then it probably could be a different story.
Okay, I agree. Yeah, that's very valid. Either one or another. I think there is a sense of maybe the league is starting to call the shots more and more, kind of like a dictatorship, and I think that's what he was also alluding at, the fact that the federation at this point has the power. They they input the rules, they kind of do what they want, and they start looking less as a federation, more as a dictatorship. We do have a problem with the likes of foreign players. They say that they have it under control, but really, it looks like really nothing's actually changing. So he does allude to that. I think it'd be great to have some of these legends come back into the club and kind of run things, because if it's one thing I think America needs to, is to improve their youth players and to improve their the way the rank system is going through that whole process, because we're not seeing enough players step up. We have Diego Lainez and Edson Alvarez. Besides that, tell me another player that actually came through the ranks and made it as big as these two. The last player you can possibly tell me is probably Raul Jimenez and Diego Reyes. So it's been quite a while before we see a player come into the ranks, which are good. We can definitely talk about exactly what America is doing in that part, but I think we'll stick more to what Cuauhtémoc Blanco was saying on La Última Palabra, and we'll keep going on the topics he said, which I think the biggest one was that he wants to coach America one of these days. It's always been his dream. It's always been what he's always wanted to do. When you hear, Cuauhtémoc Blanco say that he wants to coach America one day, what do you feeling inside?
It's pretty exciting. I would love to see, a club legend like that come back too as well. It's good to have they played also coach, because it tells them it shows how much they love the game and how much they want to make an impact in the game too as well. And like he mentioned too in the game, that he wants to obviously go to Europe, study there for a little bit, and come back and show what he's learned and what he's brought. And I feel like he can turn the club around, and obviously who to give more chances if he was to come and coach.
Yeah. He said that he would play very aggressively, very attacking, and very flamboyant, which means he said, I don't care if they score 3 goals on me, I will go up the pitch and score 4 goals myself, which I think is a great attitude to have, but it's a bit of a worrisome attitude too, because sometimes you need to learn that playing aggressive football may be not always the best solution. But like I said, like you said, it's a very exciting thing to hear that, Cuauhtémoc Blanco come and coach the team, because he is, like you said, a legend of the team, a legend of the game. So he would understand everything. And he said himself, I want to give more of the youth players an opportunity. He said, I only want about 3 to 4 foreign players, really good foreign players that will come in. They know what the club is about. They will die for the jersey, and that they will, perform week in and week out. He's like, those are the type of players I want on my team. He said, I want to, play with mostly all Mexican players, mostly all youth players, which is interesting because there are some people that they think that America should not be doing that. They think America is a team where you should come in and play once you are established as a good player. Some people have, said that they don't think America should be a place where canteranos come in and play. They think, let them play in other teams, and then we buy them, and then we have them. It's more of a sense, America should be more of a Real Madrid in the sense of, them being, a team that can bring out prosperous youth. So I think Cuauhtémoc Blanco, one of the biggest idols, if not the biggest idols of America, is kind of contradicting with what a lot of Americanistas say, that they do not want to see all these, unexperienced players. They want someone that's actually made already.
Well, that's kind of understandable too, but at the same time, if you have this great prospect and you don't develop him, then whose fault is that? You're the fan base that wants to bring players in that are already made, and once they step foot, and you want them to perform, and once they can't perform, you already want them gone. It's just kind of hard to say too at the same time. Preferably, I think I want Cuauhtémoc to come back and just be a player coach and just see him sub himself in.
Yeah. That is something I see him doing. It's like the 75th minute, like no one's doing what he wants to do. He's like, you know what, fuck this shit. He just kind of like takes off his suit and have like a jersey already put in. Like he's like ready to go. He's like, give me the card, I'm going in.
Yeah, man. I just think that'd be crazy if he just like, hey, you're coming off and I'm coming in. And I don't know, it'd just be weird. Like, who would stand there in his place?
You can see, like, America's like in the final, and it's like the 90th minute, we get a penalty, and like it's a penalty, like you either score this to win, or you go into extra time, and you can just see Cuauhtémoc Blanco just like, like, it's my turn, and he just like kind of opens his suit, says, all right, put me in, coach. And then he's like, oh wait, I am the coach. And then so he just takes probably takes like the goalkeeper out or something, and says, all right, it's my turn, and just goes and takes the penalty. So hopefully that day comes, and but I do hope it comes at a good time. The only thing that worries me is that Cuauhtémoc Blanco wants to be coach, and Miguel Herrera is not ready to leave. I think the perfect scenario for this is Cuauhtemoc Blanco has gone to Europe, has experience, is no longer involved with his politics, and has studied enough that he is confident to be a coach. Miguel Herrera is then taken to the Mexican national team, and now there's an empty slot because of that, and now Cuauhtemoc Blanco just fits in that slot perfectly. I think that is the most perfect scenario you can ever have.
Yeah, I think so too. I just don't want that Miguel Herrera and Cuauhtemoc Blanco to like, and it results in a problem for the club too as well. But it was kind of strange too whenever Miguel Herrera was at Cholos. After Lope was released saying like he's not going to resign with the club. So, yeah, Lope left, and so Miguel Herrera's now I'm waiting for America to call me back so I can go back after he left Cholos. I just think that was weird. How he was like, yeah, I'm ready to go back to America. But
Yeah.
It's just I just don't want that to clash. I just had a good time. Maybe Miguel Herrera has just left, and then Cuauhtemoc comes down and says, "Okay, I'll take this job."
Yeah, definitely. Well, you guys heard it live here first. In about 3 years, we're gonna see Miguel Herrera go back to the Mexican national team. We're gonna have Cuauhtemoc Blanco come back. America's gonna make it to the final. Gonna be playing against Monterrey, and in the 90th minute in the Estadio Azteca, Cuauhtemoc Blanco's gonna rip his suit open. He's gonna have an America jersey that says Blanco with the number 10, and he's gonna score a penalty, and we're gonna win our 15th title.
Oh man, I just love this scenario. I love it so much, dude. I hope it happens.
And you can just see it's like, the shirts are probably gonna be even tighter more than, so it's gonna look like he just got jelly rolls everywhere. But he doesn't care because he's Cuauhtemoc Blanco. He doesn't care how he looks.
Yeah.
All he knows is that he's gonna go and he's gonna put that ball in the back of the net. The man will still have it.
If that happens, dude, I'm just gonna like go around screaming.
Yeah. If that happens, I will go to the barbershop and have them design and have like a cool little on the side that says CB10.
Yeah, dude. I'll definitely do that too, dude. I'll do that too.
All right. Well, you guys heard it here live, and we'll keep our word when that day comes. Well, this has been episode 4. Thank you, every single one of you guys who have tuned in. Shout out to Mario Alonso, who has joined us today and was very active on the live chat. Every single one of you guys who messaged us. I think there was Eugene. Eduardo, excuse me. We had a whole bunch of people join us too. For those of you who cannot make it to the live show, don't worry. Like I mentioned, we're on iTunes, we're on SoundCloud. You guys can find us on those platforms. It's always a pleasure to be able to interact with every single one of you guys. Like I said, follow us on Twitter. And for those of you who kind of prefer Facebook, we are on Facebook as well. We just opened up a page, so we'll leave a link in that too. You guys can find that on our Twitter page as well. So we're definitely excited to bring you guys more content, and we're looking forward to talking to every single one of you guys. So I think it's been a great podcast. It's been a great opportunity to talk to every single one of you. Dylan, like I've always said, thank you so much for taking the time to come out and join in the ramble.
Yeah, man, no problem. I always enjoy it. This is something I look forward to, and gets me through my Tuesdays after a long and everything.
That's true. Hopefully this gets you guys through your Tuesdays as well. I know before you guys had us, there was only tacos. And let's face it, now you guys put tacos and us together, and I promise you that's almost the perfect partnership. So I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening. We'll be catching you guys very, very soon again. We'll see you guys next Tuesday at the same time. And until next time, guys, just take care and